What is up, ProGods family? It's your host, Sergeant Frost, and today we have the patch 2.05 tier list for you guys. I will admit, the meta has been quiet recently, because Riot doesn't want to shake up the Agent meta too much while the VCT tournament is still being played. Hopefully, we can look forward to Viper changes sometime in the near future, along with some other possible huge Agent changes once the tournament play has subsided. Now, let's not waste any more time and hop right into it with our S tier. I don't know if you have been watching the VCT Challengers tournament this month, but Jett has made for some crazy March Madness this tournament. You can thank your local Baby Bay for putting Jett back on the map this month. A lot of people thought Jett was completely washed as an agent after the AWP and Judge nerfs last year. Those guns were her bread and butter for wreaking havoc in game. But now, pro players are showing why Jett deserves to be ran in every team comp by your carries if you want to win games. I know that we've been caught up in a multiple flash meta recently, but all this Jett play could add another entry frag into the mix. Moving on up in the tier list is Patch's Omen. The Spooky Boy has seen a huge spike in his win rate suddenly in higher elos, and I contribute that to a lot of people going back to his reliable smokes and flash. I think that all the new gimmicks surrounding Astra have worn off, and a lot of people are returning to Brimstone and Omen. Meanwhile, Brimstone on the other hand is still competing with Omen for the best controller in the game, and I mainly attribute Omen's win rate spiking with his pick rate slowly rising again in solo queue. Let's see if he can keep this trend up and stay at the top of our tier list moving forward. I don't know about you, but I love talking about our British lad that's always on fire. Not much has changed about him, and that's a good thing, because he can still dominate the map and decimates any engagement he gets into. Phoenix is a top tier entry fragger in our S tier, mostly because of his reliability and consistency when it comes to flushing out those enemies on sites. Not to mention, he's very self-sufficient with his own healing, and he has a game-changing ultimate. Phoenix is one of those agents that must be respected when he pops off in game, and no other agent can make an entire team run and hide the second they activate their ultimate. Phoenix has been a real tough champ, and he has not been brought down in the meta. Let's see how much longer he can keep this up once this tournament is over. If you want more help learning how you can dominate with any of our S tier agents, check out our website ProGods.com. We have courses written by pro players like Psalm that can help you improve your gameplay exponentially in a short amount of time. We also have coaches online 24/7 that are dedicated to helping you become a better player. Head over to ProGuides.com to get to the rank of your dreams today. Moving on into our A tier, we have Brimstone. Brim has found his way into our A tier this patch, not because of his own doing. A lot of him being ranked in this tier is simply because Omen's win rate and pick rate have been rising steadily over time. And as a result of that, Brimstone's pick rate has been falling ever so slightly. Don't get me wrong, he's still a great smoke agent, and he's still more cost efficient than Omen when you compare their kits together. I just think a lot of people in this meta are going back to their comfort picks, which was Omen. And because of that, it has caused a lot less people to pick Brimstone in this most current meta. Not to mention, now that Astra is out, there's a new controller in town who is taking playtime away from Brim, which has led to his drop in pick rate as well. In fewer words, Brimstone is still a great agent. It's just that now he's got a lot more competition to deal with, and his in-game performance stats will now start to suffer because of it. After Astra's release, a lot of people were overhyping her up when she dropped in patch 2.04. I think as a community, we were finally grateful to get a smoke agent alternative to Brim and Omen, so we hyped her up and didn't see that she still had flaws as an agent. Astra has unique mechanics in her kit that are not newer player friendly, and she's an agent that requires you to think on the fly and have a big brain in game. So because of that, her pick rate will fall when all of the all aim no brain players stop picking her and go back to Reyna. The future is bright for Astra, so let's see how she falls into the meta moving forward and see what buffs or nerfs she might need to make it competitive when she's allowed to be picked. Next up in the A tier is the Russian comrade Sova. Sova has been holding his own at the top of the solo queue meta, and if this tier list was based strictly off of pro play, he would probably be at the top of S tier. On the solo queue side of Valorant, Sova is an agent that needs a lot of proactive play and practice in order to make him work. Sova, like Astra, is an agent that requires a big brain player to think on the fly and use his utility to set up his team with kills and info. He requires a lot of education when it comes to learning lineups and how to use his drone properly. He definitely deserves his spot within A tier. Breach is in a great spot right now because of how well his kit sets up other agents to dominate, and don't expect him to go anywhere as the meta shifts over the course of episode 2. Breach may not be the best agent to use when you're queued up by yourself, but when you're in a stack with friends, his true potential will come out in spades. No agent can shine more than Breach in coordinated play, and trust me, he's having a very fun time in this attacker focused meta, mainly because of his stun and his flashes. Breach received several buffs over the past few months that have put him ahead of his fellow initiating comrades. I think it would be in your best interest to add him to your arsenal as soon as possible. If you've been watching this VCT Challengers tournament in March and February, you can see how important having a good defense is in a high stakes game. Out of all the Sentinels that have received nerfs last year, Killjoy is still the best in class by a country mile. The only thing that separates a good from a bad Killjoy is learning how to set up her utility and learning how to play her on the map. In order to make her work, you have to treat Killjoy like a goalie in the game of soccer, or football for my EU players. She's the last line of defense for a team, and she relies on her bots to come and clutch for her when it comes to defending an objective. On offense, she is the post-plant queen that makes it near impossible to get close to the spike without getting tagged up. And on defense, she is the last line of defense that can prevent an attacking team from winning a round. A new agent that has found her way into our B tier this patch is Sage. Sage is only moving up in the tier list because of the insane spike in her pick rate and higher elos. A lot of players are doing their best by picking defensive-minded agents in an attempt to stop the 5-man rushes by a multi-flash attacking comp. Sage is still a very nerfed version of herself, don't get me wrong, but her stalling power has found new uses again in high-ranked games. I'm glad to see Sage getting picked more often, because I personally believe that she is still one of the best agents in the game simply because of her game-changing ultimate and her heal ability. Cypher may be a man of few words, but he is certainly the man with a very low pick rate still. And while the nerfs he received may be annoying to deal with in game, he is still no less of an agent than he was before he received them. Cypher's nerfs he mainly received were to his tripwire and his camera, and it made him less effective at doing his job he once did so well. I think Cypher could be seeing buffs coming up in the near future, but we have to see how he shakes out in the current meta. Over the last few months, the devs have came for Reyna's throat, and that's because they were so frustrated with how she was destroying solo queue games and underperforming in pro play. All of the nerfs and changes she received were directly aimed at hitting Reyna in the knees power-wise. Now she's been tasked with making hard decisions on whether to use her charges to heal herself or get away in a fight. In my opinion, Reyna is like a seesaw. She's either going to be really good or really bad, and there's no in between. Raze, very simply put, is not the best agent to choose if you want to carry games as an entry fragger. Here are a few reasons why I can support that claim. She has no healing and no flashes in her kit, so she is totally outclassed by the likes of Reyna and Phoenix, and she has not received any buffs or changes recently in the last few patches. It has allowed for her to stabilize within the meta, but she's not the dominant OP agent she once was in the beta. While she doesn't have flashes or self-healing, she does have a lot of damage, and when used right, she can become a very difficult agent to deal with. Okay, hear me out. Skye can be very useful, but only in a Skye main's hands. She isn't that popular and competitive, and in solo queue she feels very hit or miss. You can't ever really say that you straight up won or lost a game because of a Skye player. Ever since she was released, her pick rate and win rate have steadily plummeted, and personally I think we know why. She just doesn't fill a specific role within the team comp, and a lot of players are starting to finally come to that realization. Like I said before, she's a jack of all trades and a master of nothing. I mean, most players that play her really only use her for her heal and her flashes. But the thing is, once she runs out of those in game, she's literally useless because her ult and Tiger can get shot out before they even become useful. Skye's having an identity crisis right now, and I think it's going to take some changes in order for her to figure it all out. Now, let's open up the C tier with Yoru. I don't know about you guys, but I feel bad for my man Yoru. He could be so great, but he's just not. I think it's because he can't straight up compete with the other duelists. And really, it's because his kit just isn't designed to allow him to do that. Other duelist kits have tools that allow them to help themselves and heal themselves when need be. This allows for them to have an in-your-face Call of Duty-like playstyle that overwhelms their enemies. Yoru doesn't have those types of tools in his kit, nor is his playstyle designed for that. Yoru is more of a hard lurk or flanker type of agent, and the current meta that we find ourselves in has no need for that. Let's hope that Riot can toss some buffs or changes his way to give him the spotlight that he deserves. Finally, let's close out this video with Viper. Viper finally got her 15 minutes of fame within the meta after her spike in popularity on the map Icebox within Europe. After this spike in popularity, a lot more Vipers have been popping up in rank play throughout the world, in hopes of trying to mimic her success that she's seen in pro play. Viper's confirmed by Riot to be next up on their list for receiving changes on the level of a possible rework, so now is the best time to get yourself comfortable and familiar with her playstyle so you're ready when the changes come through. My advice for all of you hopeful Viper mains out there is to try playing her on Icebox and Bind to get success with her at first. The more you learn her, the more her kit will become useful, and then you will slowly start to find more success with her on any map in the game. Well everyone, that's all we have for our patch 2.05 tier list. If you enjoyed the video, then be sure to drop a like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell to never miss an upload from our channel. We upload new videos just like this one every day, so don't forget to check back tomorrow. Alright guys, this has been Sergeant Frost with the patch 2.05 tier list, and I will see you all in the next one.